The Calgary Stampede is an annual rodeo, exhibition and festival held every July in Calgary, Alberta, Canada. The 10-day event, which bills itself as the greatest outdoor show on Earth, attracts over 1 million visitors per year and features one of the world's largest rodeos, a parade, midway, stage shows, concerts, agricultural competitions, chuckwagon racing and First Nations exhibitions. The event's roots are traced to 1886 when the Calgary and District Agricultural Society held its first fair. In 1912, American promoter Guy Weadick organized his first rodeo and festival, known as the Stampede. He returned to Calgary in 1919 to organize the Victory Stampede in honor of soldiers returning from World War I. Weadick's festival became an annual event in 1923 when it merged with the Calgary Industrial Exhibition to create the Calgary Exhibition and Stampede. Organized by thousands of volunteers and supported by civic leaders, the Calgary Stampede has grown into one of the world's richest rodeos, one of Canada's largest festivals and a significant tourist attraction for the city. Rodeo and chuckwagon racing events are televised across Canada. However, both have been the target of increasing international criticism by animal welfare groups and politicians concerned about particular events as well as animal rights organizations seeking to ban rodeo in general. Calgary's national and international identity is tied to the event. It is known as the Stampede City, carries the informal nickname of Cowtown, and the local Canadian Football League team is called the Stampeders. The city takes on a party atmosphere during Stampede. Office buildings and storefronts are painted in cowboy themes. Residents don Western wear and events held across the city include hundreds of pancake breakfasts and barbecues. History. The Calgary and District Agricultural Society was formed in 1884 to promote the town and encourage farmers and ranchers from eastern Canada to move west. The society held its first fair 2 years later, attracting a quarter of the town's 2,000 residents. By 1889, it had acquired land on the banks of the Elbow River to host the exhibitions, but crop failures, poor weather, and a declining economy resulted in the society ceasing operations in 1895. The land passed briefly to future Prime Minister R.B. Bennett, who sold it to the city. The area was called Victoria Park after Queen Victoria, and the newly formed Western Pacific Exhibition Company hosted its first agricultural and industrial fair in 1899. The exhibition grew annually, and in 1908 the Government of Canada announced that Calgary would host the federally funded Dominion exhibition that year. Seeking to take advantage of the opportunity to promote itself, the city spent $145,000 to build 6 new pavilions and a racetrack. It held a lavish parade as well as rodeo, horse racing, and trick roping competitions as part of the event. The exhibition was a success, drawing 100,000 people to the fairgrounds over 7 days despite an economic recession that afflicted the city of 25,000. Guy Weadick, an American trick roper who participated in the Dominion exhibition as part of the Miller Brothers' 101 Montreal Wild West show, returned to Calgary in 1912 in the hopes of establishing an event that more accurately represented the Wild West than the shows he was a part of. He initially failed to sell civic leaders and the Calgary Industrial Exhibition on his plans, but with the assistance of local livestock agent H.C. McMullen, Weadick convinced businessmen Pat Burns, George Lane, A.J. McLean, and A. He crossed to put up $100,000 to guarantee funding for the event. The Big Four, as they came to be known, viewed the project as a final celebration of their life as cattlemen. The city built a rodeo arena on the fairgrounds and over 100,000 people attended the six-day event in September 1912 to watch hundreds of cowboys from Western Canada, the United States and Mexico compete for $20,000 in prizes. The event generated $120,000 in revenue and was hailed as a success. Weadick set about planning the 1913 Stampede, promoting the event across North America. However, the Big Four were not interested in hosting another such event. Businessmen in Winnipeg convinced Weadick to host his second Stampede in the city, but the show failed financially. A third attempt held in New York State in 1916 suffered the same fate. Weadick returned to Calgary in 1919 where he gained the support of V.L. Richardson, the general manager of the Calgary Industrial Exhibition. The two convinced numerous Calgarians, including the Big Four, to back the Great Victory Stampede in celebration of Canada's soldiers returning from World War I. Calgary Exhibition and Stampede. While the 1919 Stampede was successful, it was again held as a one-time event. Richardson was convinced that it could be a profitable annual event but found little support for the concept within the board of directors of the Calgary Industrial Exhibition. However, declining attendance and mounting financial losses forced the exhibition board to reconsider Richardson's proposals at the 1922 annual meeting. Richardson proposed merging the two events on a trial basis. Weadick agreed, and the union created the Calgary Exhibition and Stampede. The combined event was first held in 1923. Weadick encouraged the city's residents to dress in Western clothes and decorate the businesses in the spirit of the Wild West. Civic leaders truly supported the event for the first time. Mayor George Webster followed the costume suggestion and allowed downtown roads to be closed for 2 hours each morning of the six-day event to accommodate street parties. The new sport of chuckwagon racing was introduced and proved immediately popular. 138,950 people attended and the event earned a profit. Over 167,000 people attended in 1924 and the success guaranteed that the Stampede and exhibition would be held together permanently. Attendance grew annually throughout the 1920s, peaking at 258,496 in 1928. But the onset of the Great Depression resulted in attendance declines and financial losses. After consecutive years of losses in 1930 and 1931, the exhibition board was forced to make cutbacks, a decision that strained the relationship between the board and Weadick. Furthering the divide was Weadick's growing resentment of the board's control of what he considered his event. The issue came to a head in 1932 when Weadick and Richardson engaged in a loud argument over the situation, ending with Weadick's threat to quit entirely. 1 month later, the exhibition board announced that it had relieved him of his duties. Angered by the decision, Weadick sued the exhibition board for $100,000, citing breach of contract and unfair dismissal. His claim was upheld in courts, but he was awarded only $2,750 plus legal fees. Embittered by the events, Weadick remained at odds with the board for 20 years until he was invited to the 1952 Stampede as an honored guest and parade marshal. At least 7 movies were filmed at the Stampede by 1950. The most profitable, a 1925 silent film, The Calgary Stampede, used footage from the rodeo and exposed people across North America to the event. Hollywood stars and foreign dignitaries were attracted to the Stampede. Bob Hope and Bing Crosby each served as parade marshals during the 1950s, while Queen Elizabeth II and Prince Philip made the first of two visits to the event as part of the 1959 tour of Canada. The Queen also opened the 1973 Stampede expansion, the discovery of the Leduc No. 1 oil well in 1946, and major reserves in the Turner Valley area southwest of the city ushered in a period of growth and prosperity. Calgary was transformed from an agricultural community into the oil and gas capital of Canada. The city's population nearly doubled between 1949 and 1956, and Calgary's immigrant population not only embraced the Stampede, but encouraged friends and family in the hometowns to do the same. The 1950s represented the golden age of the Calgary Stampede. Attendance records were broken nearly every year in the 1950s, and overall attendance increased by 200,000 from 1949 to 1959. The growth necessitated expansion of the exhibition grounds. The 7,500-seat Stampede Corral was completed in 1950 as the largest indoor arena in Western Canada. It housed the Calgary Stampeders hockey team, which was operated by the Board of Governors and won the Western Hockey League Championship in 1954. Acts such as the Minneapolis Symphony Orchestra and Louis Armstrong played the corral, although the arena's poor acoustics were a frequent concern to organizers and patrons. Improvements were made to the grandstand and the racetrack was rebuilt in 1954. The Big Four building, named in honor of the Stampede's benefactors, opened in 1959 to serve as the city's largest exhibition hall in the summer, and was converted into a 24-sheet curling facility each winter. The improvements failed to alleviate all the pressures growth had caused. Chronic parking shortages and inability to accommodate demand for tickets to the rodeo and grandstand shows continued. Attendance continued to grow throughout the 1960s and 1970s, topping 500,000 for the first time in 1962 and reaching 654,000 in 1966. Organizers expanded the event from 6 days to 9 in 1967 and then to 10 the following year. The Stampede exceeded 1 million visitors for the first time in 1976. The park, meanwhile, continued to grow. The Roundup Center opened in 1979 as the new exhibition hall, and the Olympic Saddledome was completed in 1983. The Saddledome replaced the Corral as the city's top sporting arena, and both facilities hosted hockey and figure skating events at the 1988 Winter Olympics. Maintaining the traditional focus on agriculture and Western heritage remained a priority for the Calgary Stampede as the city grew into a major financial and oil hub in Western Canada. Aggie Days, a program designed to introduce urban school children to agriculture, was introduced in 1989 and proved immediately popular. A 10-year expansion plan called Horizon 2000 was released in 1990, detailing plans to grow Stampede Park into a year-round destination for Calgarians. An updated plan was released in 2004. The organization dropped the word exhibition from its title in 2007, and has since been known simply as the Calgary Stampede. Attendance has plateaued around 1.2 million since 2000. However, the Stampede set an attendance record of 1,409,371 while celebrating its centennial anniversary in 2012. Severe flooding in Calgary 2 weeks before the July 5 opening of the 2013 Stampede caused significant damage to the grounds. Stampede officials promised, however, that the event would be staged as planned. Some of the main events, and all concerts, scheduled for the Saddle Dome were cancelled due to flood damage to the facility, while other events were relocated to other locations. Events. Parade. The parade serves as the official opening of the Stampede and begins shortly before 9 a.m. on the first Friday of the event. Each year features a different parade marshal, chosen to reflect the public's interests at the time. Politicians, athletes, actors and other dignitaries have all served as marshals. The event features dozens of marching bands, over 150 floats and hundreds of horses with entrants from around the world, and combines Western themes with modern ones. Cowboys, First Nations dances and members of the Royal Canadian Mounted Police in the red surges are joined by clowns, bands, politicians and business leaders. The first Stampede parade, held in 1912, was attended by 75,000 people, greater than the city's population at the time. As many as 350,000 people attended the parade in 2009, while the presence of Prince William and Catherine, Duke and Duchesses of Cambridge, at the 2011 parade as part of the Tour of Canada increased attendance to a record estimate of 425,000. Rodeo. The rodeo is the heart of the Calgary Stampede. It is one of the largest and the most famous event of its kind in the world, with a prize of $100,000 to the winner of each major discipline and $1 million total on championship day alone. It also offers the richest payout. Cowboys consider performing in front of over 20,000 fans daily to be the highlight of the rodeo season. There are 6 major disciplines: bull riding, barrel racing, steer wrestling, tie-down roping, saddle bronc and bareback riding, and 4 novices events: junior steer riding, novice bareback, novice saddle bronc and wild pony racing. Each event is organized as its own tournament, and the cowboys and girls are divided into 2 pools. The first pool competes each night for the first 4 nights, and the second each night for 4 nights following. The top 4 in each pool advance to the Sunday final, and the remainder compete on Saturday for a wild card spot in the final. The competitor with the best time score on Sunday wins the $100,000 grand prize. All livestock for the rodeo events come from the 22,000-acre Stampede Ranch located near the town of Hanna. The ranch was created in 1961 as a means of improving the quality of bucking horses and bulls and to guarantee supply, the first of its kind in North America. The Stampede Ranch operates a breeding program that produces some of the top rodeo stock in the world and supplies rodeos throughout southern Alberta, and as far south as Las Vegas. Rangeland Guy Weadick is credited with inventing the sport of chuckwagon racing in 1923, inspired either by seeing a similar event in 1922 at the Glycan Stampede or watching impromptu races as he grew up. He devised the sport to be a new and exciting event for the newly joined exhibition and Stampede. Weadick invited ranchers to enter the wagons and cars to compete for a total of $275 in prize money, called the Rangeland Derby, and nicknamed the Half Mile of Hell. Chuckwagon racing proved immediately popular and quickly became the event's largest attraction. While only 6 teams raced raced in 1923. Today's Rangeland Derby consists of 36 teams competing for $1.15 million in prize money. Joe Carberry was the voice of the Rangeland Derby for 45 years, until 2008. His distinctive voice and signature phrase of "and there are" to announce the start of a race made him a local legend, and earned him induction into the Alberta Sports Hall of Fame in 2003. The chuckwagon drivers auction advertising space on the wagons before each year's stampede. The first advertisement on the top cover of a chuckwagon was made in 1941, and Lloyd Nelson was the last person to win the Rangeland Derby without a sponsored wagon, doing so in 1956. The current practice of selling advertising via a top auction began in 1979. The revenue generated by the auctions, a record $4 million for the 2012 Stampede, is considered an indicator of the strength of Calgary's economy. Exhibition. When the agricultural exhibition was first launched in 1886, Alberta was an overwhelmingly rural province. Today, agricultural producers make up less than 2% of the province's population, but the exhibition remains an integral part of the Calgary Stampede. Nearly half of all visitors attend the exhibition, which is made up of 50 agricultural programs organized by more than 1,000 exhibitors. Numerous competitions are held as part of the exhibition. The American National Cutting Horse Association sanctions a World Series of Cutting event, and the World Championship Blacksmith competition attracts top blacksmiths from around the world. Farm and ranch demonstrations feature numerous breeds of livestock along with stock dog trials and team penning competitions. Additionally, the exhibition serves to educate the public about Alberta's ranching and agricultural heritage along with modern food production displays through events like Activity in the City. The Stampede works with Alberta 4-H clubs to encourage youth participation in agricultural pursuits, and has a partnership with Olds College that includes the operation of a satellite campus at Stampede Park. Midway. The Calgary Stampede Midway has been operated by North American Midway Entertainment and its predecessor Conklin Shows since 1976. The Midway is the only part of the event operated on a for-profit basis. It is considered an essential component of the Stampede, but is separate from the predominantly Western theme. The Midway opens on the Thursday night before other events begin, known as Sneaker Peek Night. In addition to the traditional rides and carnival games, the Midway features two concert areas. Nashville North, a large party tent, made its debut in 1993 as a country music venue. It was followed 1 year later by what is now known as the Coca-Cola Stage that offers family entertainment during the day and rock and pop acts. During the evenings, the Saddle Dome hosts headlining acts, including Garth Brooks and the Beach Boys, who were booked for the Stampede's 100th anniversary in 2012. Market. The Stampede Market is located in the BMO Center on the northwest corner of the park. It offers 38,000 square meters of retail space and in 2011 had 181 vendors selling artwork, toys, household goods, foodstuffs and other items. The Western Oasis, a subsection of the market, offers cowboy and western-themed artwork, bronze statues, craftwork, foods and wine. Lured by the opportunity to show their wares to the 1 million people who attend the Stampede, some vendors wait years before gaining admittance, and those that consider it one of the prime events of the year. Stampede Park. Stampede Park is located southeast of downtown Calgary in the Beltline district and is serviced by Calgary Transit's light rail system. Permanent structures at the site include the Saddle Dome and Corral, Big Four Building, BMO Center, a convention and exhibition facility, a casino, the Stampede Grandstand, the Agriculture Building, and a number of facilities that support the exhibition and livestock shows. The park remains at its original location, though attempts were made to relocate. In 1964, the Stampede Board made plans to purchase former military land in southwest Calgary near Glenmore Trail and 24th Street and relocate the park there. A fully developed plan was released in 1965, and while it had the support of the civic and federal governments, intense opposition from nearby residents quashed the proposal. Space concerns remained a constant issue, and a new plan to push northward into the Victoria Park community beginning in 1968 initiated a series of conflicts with the neighborhood and city council that persisted for decades. While Victoria Park fell into a steady decline, it was not until 2007 that the final buildings were removed, paving the way for both an expansion of Stampede Park and an urban renewal program for the area. With the land finally secured, the Stampede organization embarked on a $400 million expansion that is planned to feature a new retail and entertainment district, an urban park, a new agricultural arena and potentially a new hotel. The expansion was originally planned to be complete by 2011, but delays and an economic downturn have pushed the expected completion of the project back to 2014. Stampede Park has long been a central gathering place for Calgarians and tourists. In addition to attendance at the Calgary Stampede, over 2.5 million people attend other sporting events, concerts, trade shows and meetings on a grounds that hosts over 1,000 events annually.